Patrick Reed is coming back to the PGA Tour. Not because he was forgiven, not because anyone wanted him back, and definitely not because he apologized. For years, Patrick Reed was golf's most unwanted player, and still is. A name that followed controversy wherever it went. A player the tour had every incentive to keep out. So, when word quietly surfaced that Reed was returning, it didn't make sense. There was no announcement, no olive branch, just a date on the calendar. The PGA Tour built a rulebook to control defections, to slow them down, to make coming back painful. Patrick Reed didn't challenge those rules. He didn't bend them. He didn't break them. He executed them. And the path he is taking was hidden in plain sight. Patrick Reed didn't leave the PGA Tour the way most players did. There was no public standoff, no lawsuit, no suspension handed down in real time. Before he ever teed it up for LIV, Reed resigned his PGA Tour membership. Because by leaving first, he avoided the tour's harshest penalties. No drawn-out disciplinary fight. No legal war that would lock doors later. At the time, it looked like defiance. In reality, it was timing. LIV Golf gave Reed something the PGA Tour never could: insulation. More than $40 million in guaranteed money. No pressure to chase starts. No urgency to explain himself. Just a future date circled, waiting to be used. Foresight from one of the world's greatest golfers. Patrick Reed didn't fail on LIV. He won. He got paid. And by any normal measure, it worked. But underneath the success, something was slipping. LIV Golf didn't offer a stable path to world ranking points. And without ranking points, everything else starts to disappear. As Reed kept winning exhibitions, his ranking quietly fell. And with it, his access to the biggest stages in the sport. That's when the real problem became clear. Majors require ranking. Ranking requires sanctioned, 72-hole competition. And LIV couldn't provide that. No matter how much money was on the table, no matter how strong the fields looked, there was a ceiling built into the format. For a player chasing legacy, not paydays, that ceiling mattered. Patrick Reed didn't need sympathy. He needed a rulebook, because buried inside the PGA Tour's punishment framework was something most people missed. A way back, the Tour's reinstatement policy was strict, but precise. 1 year. From your last unauthorized event, serve the time and you're eligible again. Not as a full member, but as a non-member. August 25th, 2026. That date mattered. It meant Reed could compete again, even without a card. But eligibility alone wasn't enough. He needed leverage. And that's where the second door appeared. Finish top 10 in the race to Dubai, and you earn a PGA Tour card. That's when the picture snapped into focus. This wasn't a loophole. It was a published pathway. And for the first time since leaving, Patrick Reed had a map. Patrick Reed didn't hedge this move. He committed fully. No partial schedule, no appearances for optics. The DP World Tour wasn't a detour. It was the proving ground. Then the results came immediately. Dubai first, a win against a full field in a format that mattered. Weeks later, Qatar, another win, another stack of points. Race to Dubai, points pile up at a pace that changes the math. Early in 2026, the leverage shifted. This wasn't momentum, it was execution. At first glance, Patrick Reed's path looks similar to others, but it isn't. Patrick Reed didn't come back through a fast-track program. He wasn't waved through because of recent success, and he wasn't given a shortcut. When other LIV players returned, some did so under the PGA Tour's returning member program, a pathway reserved for recent major champions. That's how Brooks came back. A major win created an exception. The suspension was waived. The timeline collapsed. Reed didn't qualify for that. His last major came in 2018. Outside the window. No special category. There was no donation workaround. No negotiated settlement. No major-based exemption. Instead, Reed took the standard route, a full waiting period, a non-member return, a season spent earning points on another tour. That distinction matters, because this comeback doesn't test the PGA Tour's flexibility. It tests its consistency. Reed didn't benefit from favoritism. He benefited from structure. And by following the rules exactly as written, his return does something the tour quietly needed. It validates the system. The door was open, but the price was fixed. First, the wait. No appeals, no early return. From his last unauthorized event, the clock had to run out completely. Then come the penalties. No player equity program, not until 2030. That's real money left on the table. In 2027, there will be no FedEx Cup bonuses either, even if he won. And the biggest stages, off limits. No automatic entry into signature events. Every start will have to be earned the hard way, through ranking and results. This wasn't the tour welcoming him back, because this was never about being invited. It was about winning his way back in. As of today, Patrick Reed isn't chasing the pathway. He's sitting on top of it. Earlier today, Reed won the Qatar Masters at 16 under par, and with it, he moved into first place in the race to Dubai standings. This didn't happen slowly. It happened in weeks. Over the last 3 starts in the Middle East, Reed has put together a run that reshaped the math entirely. First, Dubai, a win. Then Bahrain, a runner-up finish, lost only in a playoff. And now, Qatar, another win, another surge. 3 events, 2 victories, 1 playoff loss. That stretch alone was enough to vault him to the top of the DP World Tour leaderboard, months ahead of schedule. At this point, the pathway isn't theoretical anymore. It's visible, it's measurable, and it's working exactly as designed. Even if everything else falls apart, Patrick Reed still has a safety net. 9 PGA Tour wins. That matters, because buried in the tour's eligibility rules is a final provision: past champion status. If Reed doesn't finish top 10 in the race to Dubai, and if he doesn't win during the fall schedule, he still regains full PGA Tour membership in 2027. Automatically. No vote, no discretion. It's written into the system. This is no longer about whether Patrick Reed gets back. That question is already answered. The only thing left unresolved is what version of him returns. Patrick Reed didn't just leave the PGA Tour with baggage. He left with a reputation. For years, Reed has been one of the most polarizing figures in golf, often labeled by fans and media as the sports villain. That reputation wasn't built on one moment. It accumulated. In 2019, at the Hero World Challenge, Reed was penalized for improving his lie in a waist area during practice swings. Television cameras showed him brushing sand away, twice. His explanation only fueled skepticism. 2 years later, at the Farmers Insurance Open, Reed took relief for an embedded ball before a rules official arrived. Officials ultimately cleared him, but video showed the ball bouncing before it stopped. Early in his career, Reed famously declared himself a top 5 player in the world before he'd won a major, confidence that many interpreted as arrogance. After the 2018 Ryder Cup, he publicly criticized captain Jim Furyk and teammate Jordan Spieth, accusing the team of favoritism after his pairing was split up. By the time Reed left for LIV, he wasn't just controversial, he was isolated, which is why this return was never going to be emotional, never going to be welcomed, and never going to be about changing minds. It was always going to be about something else. The PGA Tour built a system to enforce order. Patrick Reed didn't challenge that system. He understood it, and by understanding it, he turned punishment into a pathway. This wasn't about redemption, or approval, or rewriting a reputation. It was about structure. Because in modern golf, power doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the person who reads the rules closely enough to know exactly when the door opens. Hey, sorry for the plug, but if you're enjoying this kind of stuff and wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button, we're closing in on 1,000 subs.